All right, good morning, everyone. It'd be great to see more of your lovely faces, if that's possible. Um, and so I'm Gullu. Today we're gonna do a little bit of chanting, a little bit of sitting, and some Dharma reflections to share, and then we can have some conversation. Michael's gonna post the chant book in the chat, and um, let's start with mantra on page 2, Om Mani Padme Hum, sometimes affectionately referred to as the Lord's Prayer of Asia. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 Let's chant the Mangala Sutta on page 5. I feel like this chant, this sutta has a really nice summary of almost the entire path of practice. Thus have I heard that the Blessed One was staying at Savatthi, residing at the Jeta's Grove and at the Pindika's Park. Then in the dark of the night a radiant Deva illuminated all Jeta's Grove. She bowed down low before the Blessed One. Then standing to one side, she said, Devas are concerned for happiness and ever long for peace. The same is true for humankind. What then are the highest blessings? Avoiding those of foolish ways, associating with the wise, and honoring those worthy of honor. These are the highest blessings. Living in places of suitable kinds, with the fruits of past good deeds, and guided by the rightful way. These are the highest blessings. Accomplished in learning and craftsman skills, with discipline highly trained, and speech that is true and pleasant to hear. These are the highest blessings. Providing for mother and father's support, and cherishing family, and ways of work that harm no being. These are the highest blessings. Giving with Dhamma in the heart, offering help to relatives and kin, and acting in ways that leave no blame. These are the highest blessings, steadfast in restraint and shunning evil ways, avoiding intoxicants that dull the mind, and mindfulness in all things that arise. These are the highest blessings, respectfulness and of humble ways, contentment and gratitude, and hearing the Dhamma frequently taught. These are the highest blessings, patience and willingness to accept one's faults, seeing venerated seekers of the truth, and sharing often words of Dhamma. These are the highest blessings, the holy life lived with ardent effort, seeing for oneself the noble truths and the realization of Nibbana. These are the highest blessings, although involved in worldly ways, unshaken the mind remains, and beyond all sorrow, spotless, secure. These are the highest blessings. They who live by following this path know victory wherever they go, and every place for them is safe. These are the highest blessings. And then we'll end our chanting with the Great Compassion Mantra, just moving into silence. After it's finished, I'm gonna share the chant. I'm sharing a bunch of things. I share audio only. Okay. Page 12. Yeah.
ยันสัพพะสัตโตนะโมปัสสะนะโมปะเจโมฟาตาโดดาจิตตันนานาปะโลสิโลจาริสิลิโมหะพุทธิสัตถสัพพะสัพพะโมละโมละโมชิโมชิลิตังจุลุจุลุเจมันดุลุดุลุฟาเชยโมหะฟาเชยดิโตลาโตลาติลินิจุโฟลาเยจุลาจุลาโมฟาโมลาโมดิลิเยชิเยชิฉันโนฉันโนโหลาฉันโฟลาเชลิฟาชาฟาฉันโฟลาเชลิฮูลูฮูลูโมลาฮูลูฮูลูชิลิโซลาโซชิลิสิลิสุลุสุลุพุทธิเยพุทธิเยพุทโตเยพุทโตมิดิลิเยโนลาจินจุดิลิชายนิโนปะเยโมโนโสปะชิโตเยโสปะหะโมหะชิโตเยโสปะชิโตเยเยเชปันลาโสปะโนลาจินจุโสปะหะโมลาโนลาโสปะหะจิลุสังฆโมจุเยโสปะโสปะโมหะชิโตเยโสปะหะเจจิลาชิโตเยโสปะโอโดโมเจชิโตเยโสปะโนลาจินจุปัญเจลาเยโสปะโมปะลิชันเจลาเยโสปะนะโมหะลาดานันโดลาเยเยนะโมหะลิเยโพลุจิลิชาปะลาเยโสปะนันจิจันเดมันโนลาบาโตเยโสปะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะนะโมความเจริญปัสสะ
So connecting with the body and sensing into the echoes and reverberations of those sounds. Really inviting the body to relax and soften the forehead and the face, loosen the jaw, relaxing the neck and throat, and even inviting the shoulders to drop down, even just a fraction of an inch. And scanning the body for areas where you might hold more tension, bracing. And on an exhale breath, inviting the body to soften, to let go of anything that's extra. And then letting the awareness rest on the feeling of the breath, moving in and out of the body. Everything else fades in the background and can relax into the simplicity of breathing in, feeling the in-breath, breathing out, feeling the out-breath. And the steadying and gathering of the mind is catalyzed by pleasant feelings in the body or the mind. And seeing if you can connect the breath with any part of the body where there's some ease, some relaxation, even mildly pleasant feeling. Allowing the breath and this sensation to mix and mingle as if the breath were moving through that part of the body. The beauty of this practice is that we can begin again in each moment. Like this process of remembering and returning again and again, the heart of our practice. Reconnecting with the pleasant sensation in the body, feeling of the breath, interweaving with that pleasant sensation. Sometimes helpful to periodically make sure there's no extra effort, no striving for any particular state, just loyally attending to the feeling of the breath, some pleasant sensation in the body, which could be shifting even. In a moment, I'll ring the bell. Let the sound of the bell carry your attention outward. Thank you for your practice. Feel free to adjust the body, move around a little bit. So I've been exploring the pāramīs, these a list of 10 of them in the Pali Canon. It's like spiritual strengths or qualities that are considered essential for awakening. Things like generosity, which I spoke about last time I was with you all, integrity, renunciation, patience, truthfulness, energy, resolve, loving kindness, equanimity, truthfulness. I think that's 10. That's from memory. And what I love about this idea is that, we used to think that people were just had like innate amounts of these attributes. Like that person is really patient, this person is really honest, this person is really generous. But this practice posits that these are actually capacities that we can build in an ongoing way, and that they're essential to our awakening. The legend of the Buddha, he spent eons of lifetimes cultivating these spiritual qualities before he was born into the person that became the Buddha. And so today I wanted to talk primarily about Sila, which is morality, ethics, integrity. I find myself in a lot of secular spaces, and one thing I notice about many teachers who teach in secular places is that they sort of leave out the ethical trainings. And to me, this is like macaroni without cheese. This is like sunny without share. It's just incomplete. Um, Better examples, even, it's like a boat without a rudder. Like our moral compass, our commitment to non-harming is so essential in like determining the direction of our practice. And it's like a tree without roots. Like to be grounded in an internal attitude of non-harming is really essential component of the path. And often it's said that Sila is the easiest of the path attributes because it's just restraint. The way the teachings are written, the most superficial level, you could say, restrained from killing, restrained from stealing, restrained from lying, restrained from misuse of sexuality, and restrained from intoxicants that cloud the mind. And I grew up in the Bible Belt, so I'm very like sort of steeped in the Judeo-Christian, well, they're mostly Christian ethic of commandments, thou shalt not, and pointedly the precepts are considered more like ethical trainings. I love that idea because it's more workable. We're not condemned if we fall short, but we just start again. we renew our commitment to be non-harming, and we start again. It's said that to practice integrity is to give people the gift of fearlessness. In a world where many of us are on edge, uncertain of who or what we can trust, to be a person who is reliable and trustworthy, is a great gift. We give people the gift of fearlessness, and we give ourselves what the Buddha called the bliss of blamelessness. That we can kind of hold our head up high, we can relax, we don't have a web of lies to keep track of, or fear of being discovered for something we've done that is unethical. Guy wrote a letter to the IRS that said, "Dear IRS, I've underpaid my taxes. Enclosed is a money order for $5,000. Sincerely, taxpayer." And it said, "P.S. If I still can't sleep, I'll send the rest." I love this idea, like it's very hard, even if we're just focused on meditation, it's very hard to have a relaxed and calm, peaceful mind when um, you've not acted in accordance with your highest values. Like our bodies are innately tuned to these kind of, you could almost say laws of nature. In the Buddhist frame, good ethical conduct leads to future beneficial rebirth. So it's almost as if these ethical laws are built into the fabric of the universe in some way. And we can tune into these laws, just like gravity, electromagnetism. We can tune into these laws with the body, listen to the body. The body becomes our kind of moral compass. It's almost like we don't really have to think about it. You know, if we listen, the body tells us when something is awry. You tell a lie and you feel a pit in your stomach, or the anxiety of being discovered. I'm sure for us, it's all the edge cases. I don't think any of us are highly unethical people, or we probably wouldn't be in this circle. But the edge cases, where that feel right? I don't know. And these intuitive forces, this like sense of moral consciousness, and also the pang we feel when we've done something that's not in alignment. The Buddha called these forces the guardians of the world. And I feel like this is something that our world really needs, in a world where greed, hatred, and delusion seem to be on steroids. Um, need this as a foundation of more and more of us need to be acting kind of in alignment with this foundation. Recently, I was in a group of people, and I told a joke that was pretty funny, got a lot of laughs, and turned out that some people were offended by it. They thought that the words I used were unskillful and harmful in some way. This happened at a retreat, so I was being castigated in notes that were unsigned. So it was very difficult to sort of like seek resolution, to atone, to like work with people. But I was keenly aware of two things. One, my background is as a lawyer, so the first thing when I got complaints was to formulate all the arguments why that joke was really okay and people shouldn't be offended. And then at some point you realize those arguments are meaningless because people were offended. It doesn't really matter if I might have judgments about, people should be more resilient or people should learn to laugh. The harm has already happened. Someone's already in at effect of the words I said. So once that became clear, I made an apology. But what I really noticed was that this, but they called it hiri, this like feeling right below my solar plexus of, gee, I wish I hadn't done that. I felt like the pang of, here I am in an environment trying to support people to relax and calm down and be in touch with their inner experience, and I created waves that affected a few people that impeded that, like exactly the opposite of what I was trying to do. And here he is, one of these wholesome states of heart and mind, this moral regret. Sometimes it's called moral shame. That I'm not fond of shame, actually, just as an aside, because I think shame is more like I'm a bad person. And when you do this practice, you practice metta for self, you realize your own intrinsic goodness, then shame kind of becomes, doesn't really make sense, but this feeling of regret or remorse is like a like painful feeling, and just tendency is to want to make that go away, to uh, paper over, try to use some sort of meditative cultivation to make that energy subside. But I've just been experimenting with just writing with it, just periodically feeling into that painful sense of regret, and with the understanding that it's actually conditioning me to be more careful, to be more mindful, to be more in attunement with the audience that I'm in when I'm, especially when I'm speaking off the cuff. This attitude of non harming should not be confused with inactivity. To live from harmlessness doesn't mean that we don't take a stand, that we don't stand up and advocate for what we think is right. The Buddha famously tried to prevent wars. In one story, he walks into the middle of the battlefield at great peril, just knowing that both sides would probably put down their weapons. Um, but I do think that the Dharma calls for our work in the world, our activism, our this is all coming because I'm trying to be more politically involved. Um, and how do I do that without getting swept away with othering and hatred and fear? And for me, I think that's the biggest one. Like, can I, it's great if we can feel metta for all beings, but maybe I could just aim for non-hatred, non-hostility, non-aggression, uh, and being aligned with and in tune with the values that are most important to you is so vital in times of political and upheaval, to remember what it is that we cherish, what it is that we value, to stay connected to that, even though it can be profoundly painful. Um, Keeps us in the relational field. And this is what I said about generosity too, that generosity is often the first teaching because it brings us into the relational field. And integrity, morality also keeps us in this relational field. To remember at the root of it that we're talking about non-harming of ourselves, of course, but primarily non-harming of others. And I'm continually inspired by the image of Avalokiteshvara with her 1,000 arms, and each arm having the wisdom to know what needs to be done, having impeccable integrity uh, that is honed through this prajnaparamita practice, and those hands reaching out in the world to know, to tend to the world, to know what needs to be done, and to have the skill to be able to do it. So much we could say about this topic. Actually was involved in a series at Inside LA where it was, I think it was 8 weeks on ethical precepts, all the nuances of it, and I gave you the most simple rendering. But if we really say, what is it to live in this modern world with so much interconnectivity, and how every decision that we make has impact, sometimes clear across the world. I buy a t-shirt and, I don't know what effects that's had on people growing cotton and pesticides that are being used, and who's making that and what conditions are they in. So it's a really ripe, when we broaden the precepts, it's a really ripe area for exploration. But I will end there because our time, as always, is limited, and just invite any comments or reflections about this territory of Sila.